KTM 1290 Super Duke R 2020 in test on country road and racetrack. Still the bike for real guys. KTM is openly talking about the Beast 3.0 and is sending the power naked into the next round for 2020. After the last overhaul in the 2017 season, KTM is now going for the big blow again for 2020. This time with a completely redesigned frame, revised geometry, and of course the full load of available electronic features. Will this tame or even soften the beast? In no way. One remained faithful to the basic idea. Power and torque in all situations and pure driving pleasure, whether on the road or on the racetrack. The heart and at the same time cream piece of the 1290 Duke is still the engine. KTM sticks to the 1301 cubic V2 and even adds another scoop. The supporting engine housing has been made lighter thanks to new brackets and also targeted reduction of wall thicknesses. The crankcase has been renewed. Titanium valves have been installed, throttle valves and injection have been revised, and more powerful spark plugs have been used for more efficient combustion. Along with the ram air duct, which sits between the insecticide-looking front headlight, even more fresh air is brought into the combustion chambers, so that all these modifications result in an additional 3 horsepower. In total, the 2020 model thus has a full 180 horsepower at 9,500 revolutions per minute, and 140 Nm at 8,000 RPM. All this with 0.8 kilograms less engine weight. To all the bean counters who might now complain about the 1 Nm lower torque compared to the predecessor, let me say, you won't notice the slightest bit of it while driving. However, the optimized control is clearly noticeable. Never before has it been possible to apply the throttle so gently and precisely on the Big Duke. Even when cruising through town at 40 km per hour, the spirited V2 is noticeably less twitchy. Already from 2,500 revolutions, the revised aggregate runs pleasantly round. From 3,500 revs to the end of the rev range, a constant torque plateau with over 110 Nm is available. At the top end of the rev range, the engine has also noticeably improved its revving ability, resulting in a much broadly usable rev range in practice. Especially on the racetrack, the engine now cuts an even better, higher performance figure. KTM has done a great job with the tuning work here. A permanent grin under the helmet is pre-programmed. The transmission of the KTM 1290 Super Duke R has also been fine-tuned. The reworked transmission is another example of great work. Minimization of all tolerances and fine-tuning of the surface quality have resulted in significantly shorter shifting times with shorter travels and a crisper shifting feel. Although the operability of the gear train still does not come close to the fine, smooth feeling of a Japanese supersport motorcycle, it has been noticeably improved by Super Duke standards. Together with the optional but highly recommended Quickshifter Plus, which enables clutch-free upshifting and downshifting, the gears can then be stepped through cleanly and quickly in both directions. This increases the fun factor enormously. Until now, the massive steel trellis frame has always been one of the Super Duke's distinctive identifiers. Adopted at the time from the company's own off-road and adventure bikes, it was an obvious solution that also performed relatively well on the road. However, good was apparently not good enough, so this design was abandoned for the latest evolutionary stage of the potent power naked. At first glance, the new design looks a bit like that of the KTM RC8, but according to the developers, it has little to do with it. On a blank sheet of paper, a much lighter and stiffer frame was created, which uses the engine as a supporting element. A whole 2 kilograms of material could be saved with a simultaneous threefold increase in torsional stiffness, a desired degree of flex, which is particularly beneficial to handling at high lean angles, has been achieved in the new design with special mounts for the co-supporting engine housing. The rear frame of the new Super Duke R has also been significantly revised. Instead of a bolted lattice tube construction, the machine is now equipped with an aluminum plastic composite rear end. This design increases functionality while also saving weight. Chassis of the KTM 1290 Super Duke R finally arrives at a great level. The combination of new frame design and revised suspension setup can be described as clearly perceptible progress. The new WP Apex shock absorber is no longer directly connected to the swing arm, but is now controlled via a deflection. This results in increased progression, including more available travel, while at the same time this design allows the use of a softer spring in the shock absorber. The result is a noticeably finer response with pleasantly rich road holding. The completely new damper element in the rear with separate gas and oil reservoirs is also separately adjustable in high speed and low speed damping. Another new feature is that the preload can now be adjusted to the load condition, or the rider's preferences using a handwheel without the need for any tools. To optimize the anti-squat effect, By the way, the swing arm pivot point in the new model has also been raised slightly, 5 mm to be precise. The elegantly solved single-sided swing arm itself has also been revised. Somewhat stiffer and longer, it now guides the 200 rear tire. At the front, the 48 mm WP Apex upside-down fork in split design has been given a fundamental overhaul. The cartridge with a larger diameter and increased oil flow rate also ensures finer road holding and a fuller feel. The new wheels with their slim 5-spoke design also have a significant influence on handling. The cast aluminum rims not only look a little more delicate, they have actually become a lot lighter, and thus reduce the moment of inertia of the rotating masses, which in turn brings a higher degree of agility to the vehicle. With all the weight optimization steps, KTM brings the new 1290 Super Duke R to a dry weight of just 189 kilograms. A respectable 6 kilograms less than its predecessor. Right from the start, a noticeably more stretched seating position is noticeable. The handlebars on the new model are a good 3 centimeters lower and also noticeably further forward. This ensures a more active, front-wheel-oriented posture on the bike. The knee angle, however, is still very comfortable and can be confidently described as suitable for touring. The tank, which holds 2 liters less fuel in the new model, has been slimmed down a bit, but together with the side fairing it offers a good way of fixing the torso in sporty cornering. The lean angle clearance is fully acceptable, especially on country roads. For friends of a sporty leg positioning or occasional track day visitors, KTM has come up with a great feature, namely the footrests can be mounted as standard in 2 variants. The sportier of these brings the pad gallery 2 cm further up and about 1.5 cm further back. Shift and brake levers are also adjustable X-Works. All in all, this is a really great solution to enable the rider to set up his or her own individual feel-good setup. The competition can take a leaf out of this book. The circuit in Portimao with its many uphill-downhill passages, fast corner combinations and tricky turn-in points demands a lot from man and machine. KTM was obviously very confident of the qualities that the new Super Duke model brings with it. Otherwise, the organizers would probably have chosen a different track. All the more exciting, of course, was the first rollout for the hungry pack of journalists. Compared to the previous model, the new Super Duke R wants to be guided into the radius with a bit more pressure on the handlebars. It is noticeably more precise to direct, and is also more stable in sloping positions. Together with the ergonomic changes described above, this results in very transparent and confidence-inspiring handling. If the body is also actively included in the radius, it is very easy to hit a clean and performant line in practice. However, it cannot and will not be called a true precision machine among naked bikes. An Aprilia Tuono V4 or BMW S1000R can still be moved a number more precisely. But here KTM deliberately remains true to its old familiar roots. The popular and well-known fun bike character, the DNA of the model, was to be retained in any case. And indeed, the fun in the saddle is hard to beat. A large part of this is simply the incredibly powerful V2 engine. Regardless of whether it's in Gear 1 or 4, the 1290 Super Duke R lets the front wheel point skyward with every powerful blast of the throttle, if desired. On the hilly country roads of the Algarve, you can lift the KTM over every bump and out of every traffic circle with the wheelie control switched off. A pure, if not quite legal, pleasure. The operability of all other essential components on the bike is also a joy. On the clutch side, for example, a smooth-running and perfectly adjustable Megure HC1 armature was installed. Opposite, at the right end of the handlebar, a Brembo radial brake pump does a great job and is also ergonomically optimally adjustable. Together with the new Brembo Stylemer monoblock calipers, which bite into a 320 double disc, the result is a fabulous deceleration performance. In none of the 6 driven racetrack turns could a wandering pressure point or lack of braking precision be detected during the test. Incidentally, the 2-stage adjustable ABS also played a major role in this. The anti-lock braking system concentrates exclusively on the front wheel in Supermoto mode, which KTM recommends for racetrack use. Experts use it to let the rear wheel slide into a gentle drift and steer transversely into the bend. Ordinary riders simply enjoy the fact that without the rear wheel lift-off detection, the brakes can be applied even harder and without unnecessary control input in the radius. Improved electronics complete the new KTM 1290 Super Duke R. While we're on the subject of electronic helpers, the optional track mode, which was activated most of the time in our test, can be completely freely configured in all available parameters. This means that the throttle response, wheelie control, engine drag torque control, cornering ABS and, of course, the traction control can be fully customized at any time. The latter can now be adjusted with 2 separate plus and minus buttons via the left thumb and index finger, respectively, even when the throttle is open while driving. The control interventions are noticeably more sensitive in the new model based on the more extensive data source from the 6-axis IMU. In the test on the racetrack, we moved between control intensity 4 and 7. Even on slick tires, no deeper adjustment seemed necessary. The remaining modes rain, street and sport are pre-programmed as standard and offer a setup that corresponds to the nomenclature. In keeping with the new, large format and perfectly readable 5 display, revised controls have now also made their way to both handlebar ends. At first glance, the flood of buttons seems a bit daunting. But if you spend just a few minutes with the operation and menu navigation, everything appears wonderfully logical and intuitive. It is particularly worth mentioning that KTM has also placed an individually assignable two-way switch at the right end of the handlebar. This allows items that are generally located deeper in the menu, but are frequently used by the rider, to be called up with just one button movement. It also makes sense to consider controlling the cruise control with the 2+ and - buttons of the traction control. Conclusion: KTM 1290 Super Duke R. If you're looking for a powerful power-naked bike, and above all value fun in the saddle, you can't go past the KTM Super Duke. In the latest revision for the 2020 model year, the specialists from Mattighofen have made sensible further developments in almost all areas. The quality of the chassis has now finally been raised by KTM to a great level. The 1301cc V2 engine has gained noticeably in running culture, and at the same time has been given an even more rev-happy tuning. The seating position has been somewhat more active and more stretched in the direction of the front wheel. The overall ergonomics, but in particular the knee angle, is still very relaxed and can also be described as absolutely suitable for touring. Last but not least, there have also been meaningful improvements to the new model in terms of electronics. A new Bosch IMU with 6-axis gyro sensor provides even more precise data for the use of cornering ABS and traction control. The quickshifter with blipper function has also been further improved and is a heavy recommendation for ordering from your KTM dealer.